Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. Today we have a full moon in Pisces. So like always, full moons are about cycles ending, things closing, letting things go. So I will be reading the tarot cards for you in that way. And I have 3 groups for you to choose from. You can go ahead and pick group 1, group 2, or group 3. You can pick by the card you could see, the number, the sound of my voice, anything that resonates for you. When you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome. For everyone who picked group number 1, so you all pick the card Start Anew. So this is really good. We always love the image of the butterfly here and the caterpillar looking at like, oh wow, that's who I can become. So I feel like what I'm getting from this right away is starting anew in terms of like the story you're telling yourself, the things you're thinking, all of that, right? So what are you looking at or like thinking about or daydreaming about that is like inspiring and who you could become, right? So we see like the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. So they're seeing like, oh, wow, I can grow into that. I can change into that, right? Sometimes if we don't look like consciously seek out examples of who we can become or what we want or how we want to feel or things like that, then it's hard for us to like imagine that and tap into that and be motivated to do something about it. So the first thing I'm getting for you guys in group 1 is like letting go of, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to become. I don't know what I want it to look like or feel like or anything like that. And just kind of turn inward and just start with like one little breadcrumb, right? Like maybe you don't know what the final evolution of yourself is as a butterfly, but you can tap inward and be like, okay, well, what does that look like eventually? What could I become eventually? What could that turn into? What could, all of that. Really like intentionally like looking at, even if it's not the same discipline, right? It's something inspiring to watch someone or see someone achieve their dreams or be successful at something or put discipline in or, whatever, just reading stories that are inspiring or people who are maybe in the field that you want to be in, right? So starting anew in terms of like, what am I thinking about or imagining or putting my time and effort and energy into, like whose stories am I consuming? What am I thinking about is possible for me? How am I opening up in that way instead of just like, well, I don't know what I want. I don't know how to dream it. I don't know how to think about it, all of that. So starting anew can be a reminder that, it is possible for us to think about who we want to become, what we want to do, all of that. And a way for us to do that is to turn inward and say, what feels like what I want to connect to and imagining that instead of just like, well, nothing in my life is working. I don't know what's going on. I can't do this. I can't whatever. Right. And of course, we still have to put the action in, right? This isn't just like magical thinking, but there is something to be said about holding space for what you do want and allowing that to come through instead of just being like, oh, I can't do anything. I can't, whatever. So starting anew with like your thoughts, the story you're telling yourself, what you're imagining for yourself, what it could be like for you. It doesn't even have to be like goal oriented, right? It could just be someone who you think has like a very easeful life or a life that is at peace. And what does that look like for you? How does that feel? What things do you need to move around or do or not do anymore and to continue to have that be in your life? So starting anew could just be not even in physical reality changing something, but kind of, changing your thoughts and how you're thinking about things. Because we know, when we want to change our lives, we also have to work on inner change. We have to do both, right? And a lot of times if we don't connect to that inside initially, then it's a little bit harder for us to feel motivated to connect to things outside of us or keep moving or keep going in that way. So starting anew, again, like what stories am I telling myself? What do I want to be telling myself? And this doesn't have to go from like all the way over here to all the way over there, because a lot of times that's why these things aren't sustainable. Because if you have like, really limiting belief, and then you're like, I'm just gonna say the total opposite right away, right? Like that's where we can get frustrated because it's too far for us to like, it's too far past our what we're able to believe about ourselves. So we have to move in more incremental things. So how can you change the story just a little bit? How can you see something that's possible just a little bit? How can you, just move yourself just a little bit further away, like towards what you want to be going? So starting anew, again, just like with the mindset, how you're thinking, what's coming up for you with that. Okay, I'm going to start with some tarot for you, and then I'll do some oracle cards for you at the end of your reading. Okay, so we have Knight of Swords, Two of Pentacles, and Temperance. So I feel like there is this desire to want to start anew, but you just kind of feel unsure of what path to take or what to look at or how to do that, right? So we have this is like full forward motion, ready to go. Here we go, horses flying through the air. But which one am I going to choose, right? I'm hearing like I'm scared to choose wrong. I'm scared to choose the wrong thing. And just a reminder that like we can't choose wrong. Okay, we can't miss what's for us. We can't miss like what's written for us. We can't, escape our destiny or what we're called to, unless we like consciously avoid it, right? But so the more important thing is just to like start to take action and do something. We get clarity from taking action. We get more insight into like, okay, this is working for me, this is not working for me, this is something I do want to do, something I don't want to do, right? Those things become more clear as we start to take action and move forward. And also trust, like with this temperance, the like emotional regulation skills you have, right? So even if you make a decision that you're not the most proud of, or you feel a little nervous about doing something different, or whatever, right? This is a reminder that you can find balance within all of that. You can find peace within all of that. You can, kind of even yourself out a little bit instead of just feeling like, I'm just going to run forward and I don't know what to do, or I'm going to run forward without any thought, so trying to find the middle path with those. Temperance is a reminder of the middle path, right? So we don't just want to go forward without any thought, and we also don't want to go forward with too much thought. So kind of finding the middle ground of just like, okay, this kind of is where I want to start. Let me take one little step, see how that feels, and then take the next one and the next one and the next one, and add on to that, instead of just like, oh no, I need to like know everything right now and decide everything right now and choose everything right now, instead of just like, well, what's a more middle ground way to look at that and to do that. So again, finding space in there for you, instead of just like, oh, it has to be all or nothing, it has to be everything, it has to, whatever. But again, finding more centering space for that, instead of, I'm just gonna see what happens, right? Or I don't know what to choose at all. But finding, again, like what's the balance for you there? It doesn't have to be all or nothing either way. And the things that work for us usually are in the middle path a little bit more than either way, either direction. With that. Okay, let's look a few more. Yeah, okay, so we have Ace of Cups, the Devil, and Ten of Cups. So this is just like, don't be tempted by the devil here, okay? And that could be like not trusting what's in your heart. It could be going back to patterns or habits that don't serve you the best. It could be like not listening to what you feel is like the right thing to do, the thing with integrity to do, right? Because on both sides of this devil, we have the Ace of Cups and the Ten of Cups. And this is about like, my cup overflows. I have everything I need. I don't need to try so hard. What's for me will find me. And this one is more about like emotional fulfillment and being content with what you have, and, fulfilled and full in your life right now. And in the middle of that, we have the devil, which wants to, this reminder of like some issues with issues with things that don't serve us. This might not apply to everyone, but because there's a lot of cups in the devil here, right? So maybe some issues with drinking or substance abuse. So just saying like, am I using that in an unhealthy way? Is that not serving me? Or do I come from a place where like being in those spaces aren't the most helpful for me? But if that doesn't apply to you, just thinking, what are the things that my habits that maybe don't serve me the best, or that I feel like I want to change or release? And this isn't about judgment or shame or guilt, right? We all have our behaviors for a reason. They all serve some type of purpose, even if it like doesn't make logical sense. But so it's just recognizing like, okay, if I have awareness around this, then I can change, then I can be different, and then I can move forward and do something different with my life. And so just knowing that like, if I have these truths in my heart that like I am taken care of, I am divinely protected, I am on the right path, I am on these things that work for me, and I also can have emotional fulfillment and connectedness to that, then what purpose do I feel like I need to have by like connecting to those unhealthy behaviors? What do I feel like it's giving me? What do I feel like is like, the reason why I'm doing these things? And instead just realizing like, okay, if these two things can't both be true about ourselves. So what do I need to release or let go or not like buy into anymore? That's like, this like thought that's or these patterns or these things that aren't helping me. And I'm not trying, I know some things are very simple, but they're not easy. So I'm not trying to like be dismissive or, make you feel like, again, any judgment or shame or guilt on yourself that maybe, changing patterns or doing something different is taking like a little bit more longer than you would like. But this is just a reminder that you do have the ability to want to be different, set the intention, and just be clear about that. And, even if we can't do everything completely, we can always offer ourselves some kindness and compassion and love and care to ourselves, even if we aren't able to control, you know, all these things about ourselves. So it's like, whatever you're doing, you say like, I'm doing the best I can, I'm going at the pace I can, I'm learning at the pace I can release and do something different and be different, instead of, you know, judging yourself. So just remembering that, you know, these things that don't serve us, they had a time and a place, but you can push yourselves out to, you know, these different ways of existing and starting anew. Again, when we look at the theme of your reading group one, starting anew with these things, and you know, giving yourself space to start anew, to be different, to have something different going on in your life, instead of, you know, again, like just this overwhelming, like, you know, nothing good is happening for me, and I can't figure this out, and I'll always be this way, and I'm stuck this way. It's like, you can, when we have the intention, like that's the most important thing. And, you know, being willing to change, being willing to turn inward and be different, and all that. Okay, let's get a few more tarot cards for you. Okay, yeah, so there's some decisions to make here, you guys, in group one. I think it's, you know, sometimes we think we're just going to be gifted what exactly to do, or someone or something's going to come save us or whatever. And there's a lot of times where it's like, no, actually, you know, we need to turn inward and be intentional and take action and do those types of things. So we have the Four of Swords, Hangman, and Three of Wands. So a lot of contemplation here for you, group one. So I feel like really checking in and really being like, what do I want? What do I feel? What makes me feel alive? What direction do I want to go in? Especially after, you know, starting anew, this chrysalis phase of once the caterpillar is completely melted into goo, right? It comes out the other side as this beautiful butterfly. And once we get there, we have to, you know, really turn inward and be like, who am I now that I'm reborn? You know, like sometimes we can just go back to these old habits or thoughts or things we thought we wanted or did continue for a really long time in our lives, and just be like, okay, that's not who I am anymore. It's time for me to do something different. It's time for me to be different. It's time for me to, you know, whatever, all of that. And so when that happens, you know, it does take some time to be reborn, to get clear about who we are, what we want, what that looks like. And so we have this Four of Swords, Hangman, and Three of Wands here. And, you know, both of these are, I mean, there's no movement on any of these cards, you know. This one is very obviously prayer, turning inward, resting, you know, even the prayer hands on here, right? Like, show me what to do, show me what to say, where to go. Hangman is about, you know, kind of like, for me, it's like the giving away your power card of like, okay, where do I feel like I haven't had a choice, but I actually do have a choice. I can show up for myself. I can do something different. And then this Three of Wands is, again, more contemplation, right? So if you want to pray or meditate, or I always suggest journaling, I think it's really helpful. Just tune inward, connect with yourself, see what's going on. But all of these things are ways to, you know, turn inward and just realize, like, who am I when I start anew, right? Sometimes we're reborn and we don't even realize it. And it really is important for us to take that time to be intentional, to turn inward and be like, okay, what do I want with my life? Who do I want to become? What choices do I want to make? What things are important to me now? Have my values changed? What does that look like? How does that feel? What are these new things I want to have in my life? So again, all of this energy of kind of like turning inward and getting clear, and releasing some of those things, and just leaving space for you to grow and change into someone different, even if you weren't aware that, you know, sometimes we're not aware that we grew and changed, and then we have to check in and be like, oh my God, wow, I'm so different. What does that look like for me? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? What do I want to be? Right. So some of that release going on. Because again, starting anew, it's really important for us when we're reborn to get clear about who we are now, what parts of us have survived, that want to come with us, what parts of us are new, what we're growing into, what we're changing into. And yeah, kind of letting space for those to come out and breathe, so we can be guided by that instead of, you know, not the other way around. Okay, I'm going to close with some affirmation. No, oracle cards. We're going to look at oracle cards first, and then I'll do affirmation card for you. I always trust the direction of the universe and know I'm being guided. Okay, so again, sometimes, you know, when we're reborn, we go through the chrysalis. We're like, wow, life is so horrible. This is so hard. How am I ever going to get through this? Whatever is going to happen, right? And sometimes we get really excited about, like, I'm ready to change my life and do things differently and have all these different things. But what comes with that is sometimes our life falls apart first, or these things have to completely fall and rearrange and change and all of that. But just remember that, you know, it's part of the process. There is something that is going on, even when we can't see it, right? You have to give the future to God, and in your day-to-day, like, just take care of yourself the best you can in your day-to-day, and trust that God is putting all the rest of the pieces together for us in a way that's helpful and for our highest good, and know that the guidance is there even if we don't hear it. And sometimes the radio silence is like, do you have the faith to just keep going even when you don't feel like that connection is like crystal clear with anything. Look at the bigger picture. Okay, so yes, this is more the same of just like, we have to remember that like we can only see our little limited lens, and when we do that, we're like, oh my god, this isn't happening the way I want, or this isn't coming together, or this isn't this, or this is, we get so caught up in these like mundane day-to-day little things, which, like, not minimizing if they feel emotionally big for you, right? But it's like, if we just zoom out, like, we can't see what God can see, and we know God plants so many intentional things, and God does all these amazing things for us. And when we get like super focused on the day-to-day details of things, instead of just like, okay, let me pull backward and see more of what's going on. Remember, there is a bigger picture here. There's something that's working out for me. Like, how can you feel like ease with that, right? If you know that you're being taken care of, you know that there's a bigger picture, how would that make you feel relaxed and more at ease? So how can you kind of let go of some of these like, oh no, this isn't how it is, and this isn't this, and this isn't that, right? But just remembering there is a bigger picture here. This little tiny snippet of your life might feel like it's really intense and like have your emotional process, definitely, but remember, there is something on the other side. There are things going on. There are these things that can be helpful for us even when we don't really see how. But just remember, like, that bird's eye view, kind of pull back, remember that like God is there taking care of us, doing something for us, all these things with that. Start where you are. Okay, this is a really beautiful, good full circle moment for your reading here, right? So start where you are and start anew. So just remembering, and this is what I was saying too about we can't go from here to here immediately. Start where you are. Just do one little tiny baby step. Do what you can do today for yourself. Take care of yourself. Show up for yourself, right? And all of those things add up into each other, instead of just like, well, I don't know what to do, and I don't know how this will work, and I don't know, but starting anew can be a reminder, or starting where you are can be a reminder to start anew. And you can start anew even if like nothing in physical reality changes. Like, again, if you just think about, what do I want to say about myself? How do I want to feel? What do I want to bring forward? What do I want to, all of those things. So start where you are is a reminder that you don't need to completely change everything in your life immediately overnight. There can be process, there can be slow, there can be, these things that move a little one or two thing at a time, instead of feeling like, okay, everything is, I have to fix or change or do everything right away, which is usually never true. We can start where we are. Okay, this is one affirmation card for you. I was going to shuffle some more, but this one flew out, so it seems like it's a message for you. Soothing and patience. There's nothing to do but wait. Everyone's favorite advice, including mine, right? But waiting is just, I always think of A Course in Miracles quote, those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait, and wait without anxiety. So if you remember that, like, if I am being taken care of, these things are coming together in my life, there is something on the other side, there is something coming together for all of that, right? Then there is nothing to do but wait, is the reminder. Like, if I'm doing all my part and I'm doing the things I do, and then I just am waiting, for God to connect the pieces, to do all this for me, then like I can relax. Like, it doesn't have to be life or death. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. Like, I really can lean into a little bit more ease with that. So there's nothing to do but wait. And that doesn't mean like, oh, I'm not doing anything, right? It's like, it takes high levels of discernment to be like, I've done all I can, and I'm going to surrender and not like stress myself out trying to manipulate all of these things together, right? I know I've done my part, and I can have faith in that and ease into that and like rest into that, instead of like beating myself up about it. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 2. So you all pick the card, Give More. This is cute. 2 little squirrels giving a pine cone, right? You see all the acorns around, but this squirrel wants the pine cone, right? So I think there's 2 things going on in here that we can talk about. The first is the giving, right? So being intentional about what you're giving. You see there's so many acorns around here, but giving the pine cone is actually like the more important thing, right? So just being discerning around like, this is what works, this is what I want to give, this is what feels like resonant and clear to me, versus this one is you know, okay, like I could give all these other things, but what's meaningful to me? What feels good to me? What's my special gift or talent or thing that I have that I can give maybe to a specific person, to a situation, to life, right? All of these things, like what makes me unique? And we all have things that is like our energy signature, our blueprint that like no one can match, no one can copy our hearts, like anything like that. And so give more can be a reminder that, you know, what do you have specifically that feels good for you? What do you have that is, you know, your specific medicine or thing you can give or you can offer the world? And it doesn't, you know, mean that you like hate all these acorns around, right? But, you know, those aren't the things for you to give. And so what can you give? What can you do? What can you know, do all those things with this? And then the second thing is, you know, giving, right? Sometimes when we feel like we have lack or we feel like I'm not taken care of, how am I going to give to other people, right? This doesn't mean you have to give monetarily. You can give your time, you can volunteer, but you can also give in a way that's like, can I be more patient? Can I see someone with a more generous view than how I have? Can I not lash out at people anymore, right? We can give in so many ways besides just monetarily. Giving monetarily is good, right? It's good to donate to, you know, redistribute resources and stuff, but giving more can also be, you know, what can I give specifically to a person, place, thing, or situation that maybe I wasn't giving before. So giving more, again, like how can I, even if it's a little more patience, it's some non-judgment, it's some mindfulness so I don't react and I have a little bit more space before I choose my reaction instead of choose my response instead of just reacting to something over and over and over again, right? So giving more, maybe you need to give yourself a little more grace. Sometimes we're the only people who can give ourselves certain levels of grace and faith and love and care. You know, like of course it's great when other people give that to us, but when we turn inward and give that to ourselves too, like that's also really important, amazing. So giving more is, you know, how can I give myself grace, love, care, compassion, all that as well, instead of, you know, just feeling like, okay, I need to like throw all this stuff everywhere and put all these things out and do all these things, right? How can I give more to myself in that way with that? So take it how it resonates, like always, just a general reading, but giving more, you know, sometimes when we are in lack or we feel like I don't have anything, I feel horrible, I'm not in the mood to give it all, right? When we do volunteer, we show up for other people or we offer a little bit of kindness, right? That can kind of like break the wall of resistance that we have, and it just feels like, okay, it's flowing now, we're going, things are moving, right? Instead of just like, oh, well, I can't do anything at all because of this, right? So there can be give more in terms of it kind of opens the floodgates and lets us choose, do, or be things that maybe we felt like, you know, we couldn't have been before because we felt really like blocked and stagnant. But you know, just when we give, it changes our own perception. We don't make it about ourselves anymore. We can open up a little bit, and all those things help, you know, help the flow of movement here with everything. Okay, I'm going to look at some tarot cards for you, and then we'll look at some oracle cards at the end of your reading. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, I mean, so we have the Empress in reverse, the Hermit, and Nine of Cups. So this is definitely, the Empress is, regardless of if you're a mother or not, okay, this is, in the upright, the Empress is about mothering energy. It's about birthing. It's about taking care. It's about offering love and compassion and service to other people. So definitely feel like you are disconnected in some way from giving. Like, again, it could be giving to yourself, giving yourself love, care, and compassion. It could be sharing your gifts with the world. It could be giving someone grace that you need to be giving that you're not really giving them, right? So Empress in reverse, I feel like, you know, this giving energy, right? Sometimes we think like, I want to receive, but like giving and receiving is, you know, you can think of it as like this infinity flow. And when you aren't giving, you're throwing off that balance to receive, right? If you're only receiving or if you're only giving, right, then it's thrown off. So you're probably giving in one area of your life, but group two, this is a reminder of like, where's an area of my life that I'm not giving a lot, or I'm not really showing up, or I'm not offering the best of what I can offer. So Empress in reverse. And then the Hermit here is, you know, go inward and explore that. What does that mean? What does that look like? How can I give more? Like, again, don't feel like this lady on YouTube told me I have to donate all my savings to this thing. Like, you don't need to do that, right? But you do need to turn inward and get clear about like, what would feel good to me? What would make me feel fulfilled? Nine of Cups is wishes fulfilled, wishes granted, like feeling fulfillment and contentment. So what would that look like for you, right? How do you want to feel? And just saying like, okay, maybe I can be a little more kind. Maybe I don't have to be as reactive. Maybe I don't have to do, some of these other things I thought I had to do for so long, and instead just be like, okay, this is what's working for me. This is what feels good for me. This is what, all of that. And so just turning inward and exploring that, right? You don't have to decide anything when you turn inward, but inner exploration leads to insights, and those insights leads to us choosing something different, being different, all of those things. So don't feel like, again, you're like gonna miss what's for you, or you're gonna like, don't give like mindlessly, like be intentional about it. Don't give in a way that like you deprive yourself of something, right? But you also need to be honest with yourself of like, how can I give here? And what does that look like? And even giving yourself the grace for yourself, but also the space to let people care about you. Sometimes sometimes people in our life want to care about us, but we're like, oh no, they don't, or I have this wall, or I'm not going to ask, or I don't deserve it, or, whatever is going on. But like giving yourself permission to receive, and also to give back to people, like flowing with this, but turning inward and just kind of saying like, what in my heart do I know feels like what I want to give and how I want to give, even if like in physical reality, it maybe doesn't make the most sense to me, or maybe doesn't, doesn't seem, logical, right? Because we know the language of the heart is not logical. We know that the guidance in the heart is not the most logical always. But those things usually end up being the most fulfilling and help us move along the path on the things that are for us, even if, again, it doesn't seem like, how could this be doing anything? Yeah, so I think again, more contemplation. This was a theme for group 1 too, but so we have the 8 of Wands. At least 2 are stuck together. Okay, we have this one came out too, so we'll say it. So we have 3 of Swords, 8 of Wands, 8 of Pentacles, and 3 of Wands. So 2 3s and 2 8s. So 3 and 8 might be significant to you. If not, don't worry about it. But there's 2 3s and 2 8s. So here I feel like, there was some pain, there was some betrayal, there was some heartbreak, and that's kind of like developed into learned helplessness, which like is fine, because we have to have our emotional process, we have to feel what we feel, we have to allow these things. But eventually we get to the point where it's like, okay, this thing happened to me and I'm going to choose something different now. I'm going to choose to be different. I'm going to show up in a way that's different. I'm going to allow myself space to be different, instead of like, okay, I need to keep replaying these things or doing these things over and over, or whatever, right? Learned helplessness is where something happens in our lives that we didn't have a choice, we didn't have control over, and so that we let that permeate into every area of life, and we think we don't have a choice about anything, or we think we can't choose anything, or we think, whatever. And so this is a reminder that sometimes you got to take the sword out of your heart, and really allow yourself to move away from that learned helplessness, and kind of pull yourself back up, right? And just like do something different. And so we have the 8 of Pentacles and the 3 of Wands here. So this is a reminder that it's important to try something different, to take action, to kind of show up for yourself, start to put the pieces back together, start to show up for yourself, start to do things differently, and really, again, more contemplation about what does that look like for you. You can make choices about where you want to go, what you want to grow into, how you want to give, how you want to show up, right? So start to take little actions and start to move forward. And the other thing I want to say about this too, it just came through very loudly, is no matter what happened to you, no matter what you had to rearrange or do differently in your life, like no one can take away the work that you've done for yourself already. Even if you have a huge reroute, even if you feel like you lost something that was totally irreplaceable, right? That no one can take away what you've done for yourself, your investment in yourself, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with God, no one can take away any of those things. So don't dismiss like the work you have to do now. You're not starting over, you're starting from experience. You're starting from these things you've already done for yourself. And so don't diminish all of those. I know it can be painful to have to do something else or do something different if it's something you've never done before, but this is a reminder that you can, and you can get through it, and you can do that. And really, balancing this taking action and what do I want and how do I get there, with this of like, what does that look like for me? What could that be? What do I want to do? What feels right for me? What is, all of this. And so really holding space for that, and again, turning inward and just deciding like, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to move forward? And not like, I'm going to decide what I want to do with my life right now for forever, right? But what does that look like for you? How could that resonate for you? How could that feel good for you? How could you, move forward with these things? So You know, just really moving from that place of you're not going to figure it all out overnight. You're not going to know even maybe even the big picture, right? But we just do one tiny little baby step, just one next right thing, and all of that will add up until you get to the other side with these things. Okay, let's just look at a few more tarot cards for you. All right, King of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and Three of Pentacles. So I feel like, you know, with this, whatever this thing was, like this really intense emotional hardship that happened for you, you know, there is some emotional intelligence that you have from that. And we're not like glorifying hardship, we're not glorifying these things, right? But the nature of being on earth, the nature of being a human is there is hardship, there is suffering. And this is, you know, it's like, what emotional intelligence do I have? What have I learned from that? How have I come out on the other side? How have these things happened? Right. And then this Ace of Pentacles is like, oh, here's something new. Here's a new thought. Here's a new idea. Here's a way I'm acting that's different. Or here's something I learned, or, you know, whatever happened for you that maybe you felt like didn't happen previously. Or, you know, sometimes when we're going through hardship, we can't be like, oh, I'm learning this right now, right? But once time has passed and we're given the gift of hindsight, of reflection, right? We come out to the other side and there can be this like, okay, this is what I got out of it. This is what I learned. This is, you know, whatever. And also relying on your community. Okay. A lot of us try to, when we go through hardship, we try to be like, I can figure it out on my own. I can do everything on my own. I can, you know, all these things. But actually, if we turn inward, it's better for us to say, okay, what support do I need? And that can be giving, right? When I was talking about giving yourself the gift of being taken care of, where do you need support in your life? Who can you turn to? Who can you ask for help? Who can mentor you? Who can, you know, whatever, right? So how can you have all of these things kind of allow them to come together and exist for you instead of just like, oh, I don't know anything, I can't do anything, I can't, you know, whatever. But again, really holding space for that, honoring that, and knowing, you know, you can trust your emotional intelligence to have these ideas. Abundance starts as an idea and like a guidance for us to do something different, and also relying on our community, right? And so, and also trusting that, you know, when we're, even when we're teaching, we're learning, and even when we're learning, we're teaching, right? It's this, again, when we think about that infinity reciprocal relationship of giving and receiving, same thing with teaching and learning. So being in community with people is important. There's a lot of things going on for everyone. And so it's important for you to reach out to people and connect with people who are going through what you're going through with all of those things. And, you know, it will continue to serve you in ways that you cannot imagine, because that is one of the wonderful gifts of life. Okay, I'm going to look at some oracle cards for you. I recognize that I've chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. Okay, so this is just a reminder that when we give more, sometimes when we withhold our giving, we're choosing from fear, right? We're choosing from there's not enough, I can't do this, I don't deserve it, they don't deserve it, whatever, right? Choosing love is like there's more than enough, there's always something else, there's more, there's these things. So remembering you can choose again, no matter how many times you made a previous decision, you can make a new decision, you can be different, you can give yourself permission to change, you can be willing to change with all of that. So you don't have to, you know, keep these patterns going no matter how long you've done them, or how long you feel like they've been part of your life, or like, oh no, who am I if I don't do this, you know, all those things. Surrender to the divine. Okay, so again, just when we give more, this is like trusting God, this is surrendering to the divine, this is just remembering like I'm not in charge, a power greater than me is in charge. And so if I give in the way that feels right in my heart, then I will be taken care of. And that is part of like the plan specifically written for me. And surrendering to the divine is like, again, when I was talking about moving away from some of this, like, oh, this doesn't make sense logically, or, you know, whatever, which again, like we have to have a little bit of that. We're on earth, there is physical reality, right? We have to do all that. Okay. But this is, you know, about some things that make sense in our heart, maybe don't make sense in our mind. And so just having faith that, you know, when we surrender to that and we trust that what is for us and what's coming together because of that is really wonderful and fulfilling. And, you know, we can rest in integrity in doing the thing that is the giving thing, the gentle thing, the kind thing, instead of, you know, the other way around. Simple pleasures. Okay, so this is just a reminder that as you are on this path to figuring out your whole life, okay, like let yourself have fun, right? Let yourself enjoy the giving, let yourself enjoy the people you connect with, the people you talk to, the people, whatever. But simple pleasures, again, is just a reminder that there is fulfillment and abundance and joy and fun and lightheartedness and all of these lessons we learn in life, all these things we do. There is a way for us to enjoy these simple pleasures, to tap into them, to feel connected, to feel clear, to feel like, okay, what I'm doing is good, what I'm doing is valuable. I can have fun in my day to day as these larger, bigger pictures come together, because, there is no arrival. There is no there. Once you get there, there's another there to get to. And so if you just rush through your whole life trying to get to all these things, you're never going to feel completely fulfilled or completely like, I did it and everything's fine and all this. So simple pleasures. Let yourself enjoy the giving, enjoy the receiving, enjoy your day to day. Just see if you can see something and just smile and just be like, wow, that's really beautiful. That was a really nice moment. That was, whatever that looks for you. Okay, I'm gonna close with one affirmation card for you. Expressing free will. My choices determine how brightly I shine. Okay, so this isn't I don't want this to overshadow. There are things in life, choices we make as a response to things we wouldn't choose for ourselves. So there is space for that. So don't take this as like dismissive of those experiences. But, my choices determine how brightly I shine. Just a reminder that when we do give, when we open up the heart, when the heart is allowed to flow in that way, like we just have this inner glow, this inner beauty, this inner, peace and connectedness, instead of feeling like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I can't choose this. I can't, whatever. So my choices determine how brightly I shine. You can give more and then receive more. And again, allow this beautiful flow of showing up in these like amazing ways for yourself to occur in your life. So my choices determine how brightly I shine. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you want any more information about me, all that's linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi everyone, welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 3. So you all pick the card, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. So this is very cute. There's a bear with a little mouse on their head, right? Okay. So you've heard the saying, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff, right? This definitely requires a mindset shift for a lot of us. I had to make the shift a long time ago in my life. Still have to with certain things, right? But it's just, we are bombarded in this society with like, act now before it's too late. What are you waiting for? Do this or it'll never happen. Do this or it'll pass you by. You're getting older. You're doomed. You're this, you're that, right? So a lot of the messaging is based in fear and is based in these things that don't serve us and that kind of encourage us to sweat the small stuff, right? So this is like, we don't just want to say this and feel like it's dismissive, but it is important to remember, like, don't sweat the small stuff. There, it really is true when you say like, this won't matter in 5 months from now, 5 years from now. Why are you stressing about it now? And there's certain things, of course, it's good to have a little bit of like excitement of like, okay, what's going to happen, how it's going to turn out, but when it gets to like impairment and to the point that you feel like I can't make the right choice, I can't think clearly, I can't whatever, right? That's where we want to reevaluate this. And so much of the things we worry about is a lot of things that we can't control, a lot of things that we're not in control of, we can't make happen, we can't, whatever. And so don't sweat the small stuff can be a reminder of just like, okay, what am I trying to control here that I can't control? And if you can't control it, you give it to God. And this is not just like a one-time thing. It happens over and over again. About situations, we have to surrender to God over and over, but also to develop this muscle in our bodies, we have to do this over and over and over again. So don't sweat the small stuff. It's a skill that's learned. It's a pattern that's practiced. It's the other side that we get to with this. But just a reminder that, you can kind of get to the other side. You can have freedom with that. You can create this space for yourself to be like, okay, I did it. I'm on the other side. I'm getting there. I'm making things happen. I'm, whatever, right? And you don't need to, you don't need to stress yourself out. And like, again, easier said than done, I know, but just you can, affirm yourself with like, I trust this is going to be taken care of. Whatever needs to happen is what will happen. I can trust myself to handle whatever does happen, right? Like just get clear about what is the belief that's feeling triggered, and just saying, okay, how can I kind of rewrite that thought or change that thought or have something different, and even noticing like, okay, what's the stuff I always get stressed out about? Like maybe I don't get stressed out about work, but it is like in my personal relationships, or it is in this thing or my future or this or that, like could be, if it's everything, it's okay, we can still do this, right? But just looking at where is this showing up specifically in my life, and why do I think that is? What's going on here? Why am I trying to control the uncontrollable? A lot of times they say too, like, the less faith we have in God that we're taking care of, the more we try to control our lives and try to feel like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this thing. So don't sweat the small stuff. Easier said than done, but a good reminder of just, step one of like changing our thinking of like, okay, can I control this? No. Did I do the best I could? Yes. Then you have to find peace in that if you want to continue to be alive and have inner peace and inner harmony with all these things. So don't sweat the small stuff. Again, easier said than done, but it is a way for us to kind of like work on our emotional boundaries and work on like, affirming ourselves and feeling like I did the best I could. This is what can happen. This is, what's going on for me. And, thinking like big picture, right? Did I do the best I could? Can I control this? No. Then what do I feel like I need? Why do I feel like I need to control it? Do I feel like I'm not taken care of? Do I feel like I'm, whatever's going on for you? This is will resonate different for everyone. Your story is different for everyone. What you want to release and move through will be different for everyone, right? But how you can do that is important. Okay, I'm going to look at some tarot cards for you before I look at your oracle cards. Okay, Four of Cups, 10 of Swords, and 9 of Pentacles. So yeah, I feel like there's been relief that's been offered to you, but for whatever reason, just still feel defeated, which is fine. I get it. That's part of the process. It's part of life, right? But a lot of times there are gifts that are being offered to us, or tools or people to connect with or things like this, but we're just like, nope, not going to do that. I just want to keep doing my pattern of sweating the small stuff and staying stuck in this place. And that's okay. Our lessons take the time they take. There's no judgment from me ever. But it's just there is something accessible to us and available to us, even if in certain moments it felt like we couldn't really connect to that. And then this 10 of Swords is just, I feel like you've been sweating the small stuff a lot and it's become the big stuff. Like it's really, it adds up. And when we sweat every single thing, that's when every single thing feels like a disaster and we're catastrophizing and everything is so intense, right? And so sometimes we do need like a complete reset on how we're engaging with the world, how we're showing up with that. And just remembering like, this is how I want to feel, right? I want to feel content. I want to feel clear. I want to feel like I'm walking in my garden. I want to feel like, all of this. So just really getting at like, what is the need for control here? What do you feel like you need to, do you feel like you're not taken care of? Do you feel like you're not good enough? Do you feel like if I let someone else control this, then it's not going to turn out beneficial for me at all, right? So what's going on that feels like you really need to hold this and control it, manipulate it, instead of kind of like just letting it be and letting it go. And again, I know it's not that simple sometimes, but can you try to do that just a little bit to get on the other side, so it's not as, overwhelming or detrimental, or, taking up all of your emotional energy? Like where can you, it's going to be something very simple as making, a list on a piece of paper of like, this is what I can control. This is what I can't control. So this is where I'm putting my energy and this is not where I'm putting my energy. Right. Instead of, the other way around of just like, we can get mixed up of like trying to control all these things we can't control. And then of course, that's just like frustration and like running on the hamster wheel because we can't do anything about it besides what we're doing. So how can we kind of create space for that? Okay, let's see a few more cards for you. Yeah, so maybe you've had to feel like you had to control a lot of stuff or be stressed out because you've had some hardship in your life, and I send some compassion to you, and I want you to really, feel space, hold space for that for yourself. It's upsetting. So we have Three of Swords, Eight of Cups, and Ace of Wands. So just really feeling like we get burned by life. All of us do. Different stories, different ways, different experiences, right? But this is just a reminder that there are things that happen to us and that can make us want to shut our heart down and not open up and not engage and not feel like we're connected to anything or life is worth living or things like this. But this is a reminder that when you get through that loss, you can be reborn to the other side with like reborn passion, reborn heart, right? This isn't saying, sometimes people hear that and they're like, no, I don't want to do this, like I'm shut down completely, right? But this is saying like you don't have to knock the wall down completely, right? You can go into hiding for a little. You can protect yourself. You can, you can keep that wound in your heart until you're ready to look at it. But you can move brick by brick, like start to come out and take one little step, and don't, it doesn't have to be like I'm here and I'm swinging all the way over here, right? It's the middle path. It's step by step. It's day by day. So maybe there was some betrayal here, and that's why you are sweating the small stuff. That's why you feel like you need to control a bunch of things. This reminder, can take it one day at a time, one thing at a time. You can stay on the path. You can move forward in a way that is kind and gentle and loving and compassionate to yourself, instead of like, oh, I have to fix all this all at once, or it will never get solved, or it will never, whatever the story is here. But just remembering that the process of life, you keep living, and that's how you get through it. And when you live, then that's when you're just focused on, like, you have to do intentional healing work and all these things, but you also deserve to be alive and just feel what you feel and go through these things and do all of that. And when you keep doing that over and over again, you get to this other side, and this, like, this reborn passion, this reborn life, you can like feel the sun on your face again, or you can feel the wind, or you can laugh a little deeper. You can be present in a way that maybe you weren't before, right? That you felt like you weren't for a really long time, but we do come back to life, and we do come out on the other side, and we are reborn and fuller and deeper and richer and able to, be transformed on the other side of this. So, this isn't about shaming yourself or, like, protecting yourself forever from something unfortunate that happened. Like, kind of going through this cycle of heartbreak and coming out the other side is what makes life worth living, and is, things that, again, we all have to deal with one way or another while we are here on planet Earth. Yeah, so I think, replug back into your power, okay? And just what I was saying, it just starts with like doing one little tiny thing. What I'm really feeling for you, group 3, is like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel completely. You don't need to feel like, oh, I have to start my whole life over again, or I have to, whatever. It's just like choosing one tiny little thing and going from there. So we have the Magician, 8 of Swords, and Knight of Pentacles, right? Like, so just choosing, okay, I'm ready to take one step forward. What does that look like for me? I'm ready to do one little thing. What does that look like? How can I move forward? How can I do this? And then this, just, remembering like there's no one, the wound is still there, but the harm might not be there anymore, right? So how can I be different? What can I choose to be different? How can I show up for myself? How can I do that? And just taking, one teeny tiny little step forward. So this Knight of Pentacles looks like they're not even moving, right? The horse isn't moving, but they have the image there. They have the idea. They have this is where I want to go. This is my step 1 to move forward. This is what it looks like for me. This is what it feels like for me. This is what, all that. This is how I want to choose to do these things. And so just really remembering like, okay, I can't sweat. This is the stuff, we get into learned helplessness when we try to control the things we can't control. And it's like, what can I control? I can control my reactions, my actions, how I spend my day to some extent. I know, okay, the way I speak to myself, the people I allow into my life, again, to certain degrees, but you can allow like the level of closeness you share with them, the vulnerability, right? My mindset about myself, like these things, right? So what can I control and what can I not control? And separating those things out. And again, starting to move forward towards acting in a way that is aligned with those things. And sometimes it can feel overwhelming and like, how can I do that? And there's so much there and all this stuff, right? But it is possible to choose to be different, to have new patterns. Like, long-term change takes time. And so being patient and giving yourself grace and remembering like, I can move through this, I can be different, instead of feeling like, oh no, I'm never going to get there. Things are never going to change. Things are never going to, whatever. Okay, let me look at some oracle cards for you. I'm unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow. Okay, so again, I feel like sometimes when we do get burned or when we do sweat the small stuff, it's because we thought, oh, I was on this path, I was doing this thing, then this really annoying interruption happened in my life, and now I can't do that anymore. But this is a reminder that when you're unapologetic about what you desire, and that just means like, I'm allowed to have faith that my life can be peaceful again. I'm allowed to have faith that I will find a job that appreciates me, that find a partner who wants to be with me and loves and cares about me, that I will have friends who show up for me, that I will, you know, be taken care of in these other areas, right? So just remembering that step one of healing is just not step one, but an important step of healing is just remembering, like, you can listen to your heart, you can hear what it says, and you can move forward and trust and have faith in that, right? So you don't need to be like, oh, who am I to ask for that, who am I to whatever, right? Who are you not? Like, keep moving forward, keep doing things. Just get clear about, you know, this is what's in my heart and this is how I'm going to move forward to do things in that way. Take time to breathe out. Okay, so don't sweat the small stuff. One way we can not sweat the small stuff is by doing mindfulness, right? Mindfulness works. Whichever thing works for you is the path to go. There's walking meditation, silent meditation, centering prayer, guided meditation, silent meditation, right? There's a lot of these things that we can try and do, but, you know, take time to breathe out. Go for a walk, even just, you know, box breathing, counting in, holding your breath, breathing out. There's so many ways to do all of these things that we can forget. And, you know, our breath is such an important tool, and most of us forget about it all the time unless we're very intentional about it. So take time to breathe out. So actually breathe out, and also take time to let it go, to relax, to don't sweat the small stuff, to, you know, let yourself be a little bit different with these things. So take time to breathe out. Is a reminder that you can get to the other side, you can have this awareness, you can do all of these things, and you don't need to have everything figured out immediately right away, right? So take time to breathe out is very real. And yeah, just giving yourself just some grace, some space, some compassion, all that. Let go and surrender, everyone's favorite advice, right? So this is, it's right up there with wait and be patient, right? Let go and surrender. So again, don't sweat the small stuff. Like, if you can't control it, let it go. If you got anything from this reading, group 3, that was your message over and over and over again. Okay, let go and surrender. Easier said than done, but the path is made by walking. So you just practice it until it becomes normalized for you. You practice it until it makes sense for you, till all of those things. So let go and surrender is the reminder that, you know, you don't need to stress yourself out doing all this stuff to be able to get to the other side. But you have to, letting go and surrendering, it is a skill. It is something that gets easier the more times we do it. The process, most of us are not taught to do that, and so it really is starting from step one with that. So being patient with yourself, being kind with yourself around those things. Okay, one affirmation card for you to close. Celebrating some simplicity. I'm more fulfilled when there's less to manage and maintain. So yes, this is exactly, you know, sometimes people think like, how do I let go? How do I surrender? And when we can think about it as like, this is, you know, this is high level discernment of like, this is something I can't control. So I'm going to give it to God, and I'm not going to put my time and energy thinking about it, right? This is something that I can't, you know, if I don't want to sweat the small stuff, I can't control it, and it's something less for me to manage, right? Then I can come on the other side and get more clarity of just like, this isn't for me to manage, this isn't for me to, you know, whatever. So what does that look like? So when you're more fulfilled, when there's less to manage and maintain, that includes a physical reality, like trying to control other people or outcomes or things like this, right? When it's like, I'm doing the part I can do, and I have to have faith that that's enough. I have to have faith that what I'm doing is going to work out for me, is going to get me somewhere eventually, even if it's not the way I want, the time I want, the how I want, you know, any of that. But I'm more fulfilled when there's less to manage and maintain. You know, again, simplicity, cutting things out. That includes actually physically things, right? Just doing things to do things, but also in terms of you know, how much we give to like trying to manipulate something or control something or do all these things, right? Like just knowing what we've done is enough, and having faith in that and holding space for that and resting in that and letting whatever happens come, and knowing like I can deal with whatever the result is. I can deal with whatever the outcome is. I can deal with, you know, whatever that looks like for you personally. But just remembering, you know, I'm more fulfilled when there's less to manage and maintain. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world if you don't try to control every single thing ever. But it is just around knowing that when there is less to manage and maintain, we can connect to that fulfillment and peace, because all our energy isn't exerted on trying to like control the uncontrollable here with everything. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.